Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun, and behold, a mangled motor gracefully twisting through the air like an Olympic gymnast made of bits of car. I don't know. Listen, it can mean only one thing. The creators of Burnout are back and doing what they do best, making incredibly fast bits of metal smash into each other and then making them into incredibly slow bits of metal so that you can watch the carnage in balletic slow-mo or steer the wreckage into oncoming rivals to take them down with you. But this is not a Criterion Burnout sequel. This is Dangerous Driving from Three Fields Entertainment, an indie studio formed by several of Criterion's creative leads. They are responsible for almost 20 years of arcade racing heritage, and after several smaller projects, including Danger Time 1 and 2, which were riffs on Burnout's Crash Junctions, they are back with the main event, a game that could honestly pass as the Burnout game that never was. Imagine if, instead of going open world with Burnout Paradise, they'd stuck to the track racing of Burnout 1 through to Burnout Revenge. Squint and Dangerous Driving is exactly that, from the chunky menu interface of the front end to a focus on screaming power drifts and, yes, absurd crash cutaways. I visited the team to play a chunk of the game on Xbox One X, not PC, and we'll talk you through the ways this is the Burnout sequel we never got. In some ways, calling Dangerous Driving a throwback to Burnout is a little meaningless, as that can mean many different things, based on which Burnout is your Burnout. For me, Burnout will always be Burnout 2, Point of Impact. I played it to death on the GameCube. It was a purer version of the series, before takedowns turned up and stole the spotlight from the core skills of drifting or weaving through oncoming traffic to a crew boost. One of the neat things about Dangerous Driving is that different modes hark back to different Burnout iterations. Dangerous Driving's Heatwave mode, for example, is a love letter to Burnout 2 fans. In fact, Three Fields co-founder Alex Ward tells us that at one point Burnout 2's subtitle was Heatwave. The pitch is simple. It deactivates takedowns, so any extra speed has to be squeezed out the old-fashioned way. Fire the boost and hold it until it drains and you trigger the heatwave. It refills the boost bar for a second round of boosting. In Burnout 2, this was called burnout chaining. As long as you don't remove your thumb from the boost button, or crash, you'll repeatedly drain and refill the bar, and the heat waves will build and build and build. Just as a piece of familiar game design, this is like slipping your feet into a pair of comfy slippers, albeit ones strapped to rockets. What stops it from just being a repeat of a great idea is a new wrinkle that sees one class of car gain top speed with every heatwave it gains. It's only 2 miles per hour per heatwave, but start stringing together combos with multiples of 10, and you're talking about pushing that machine way beyond anything it's capable of elsewhere in the game. It's like Three Fields are daring you to keep your thumb on that button, even when speed is the last thing you need. See, for example, boosting so hard that we almost launch a car into orbit. I mean, who needs Ryan Gosling looking miserable in Apollo 11 when you can conjure drama like this for yourself? And that's before you switch to bumper view, where the speed turns the road into a tarmac-coloured version of 2001's Stargate sequence. As much as I love my Forza Horizon games, they never come close to delivering this insane rush of speed. Another example of taking something classic and adding a touch of modern day spice is race mode. Here the takedowns are back in, so it feels much closer to Burnout 3 in its aggressive shunting and jostling as 5 cars attempt to batter you into last place. Again, taken at face value, I didn't realise how much I'd missed fighting for my position in Burnout. So many modern racing games give you a blast of automotive violence as you punch through the pack into first place, but then they quickly become a boring exercise in safe, clean driving for the rest of the race. Dangerous Driving's AI drivers are underhand bastards, a style they learned from the development team's test laps. They regularly appear to boost out of nowhere, which is a habit I usually hate in racing games, but actually lends this the drama it needs. It turns first place into more of a siege, as other cars pull up and you smash them into barriers to protect your place at the front of the pack. And if you do lose your lead, it becomes an invitation to wreck everyone who got ahead of you. Bashing your way through that pack is very tasty indeed. But then there's the extra spice I mentioned. In race mode, it comes in the form of car wrecks. All that twisted metal you leave on the road isn't going to be magically tidied away. It sits there, waiting for you on the second lap. And so the more aggressively you race on lap 1, the deadlier the road becomes on lap 2. It really took me by surprise the first time I experienced it. The wrecks don't exactly pop in, but they are small enough to only spot them when you're about a swerve away. From chat in the office, you can tell lots of debate went into how obvious these wrecks should be, and from how far away you can spot them. As they are, it's a proper reaction test. Of course, it adds in new potential for tactics, trying to cause crashes on notoriously difficult corners or deliberately messing up the finish line, and introduces new takedown opportunities into the mix too. Cause a rival to crash into smoking debris and it's a junkyard takedown. Crash into one yourself and you're a nervous wreck. I'm really intrigued to see how they affect online multiplayer races when they're patched in after release. The idea of 6 devious human minds trying to use the cars of today as the obstacles of tomorrow is pretty smart. If you've been with Burnout from the very beginning, you'll be happy to see survival mode return. Or is happy the right word? This mode is more about the cold hand of fear gripping your heart as a single crash brings the challenge to an end. Originally unlocked at the end of Burnout 1, it's now in the general mix of dangerous driving, acting as a tasty game of chicken that asks you to hit checkpoint gates in ever-decreasing time windows, all the while threatening you with that one tap, one death. It's really no more complicated than drive fast, but carefully, but I can see it becoming a leaderboard favourite as you squeeze extra meters from each run. Counterbalancing the careful driving of survival is the return of road rage. First seen in Burnout 3, and a fan favourite since then, it is all about amassing takedowns in a fixed time limit. It's a crashing marathon, with tiny arrows marking out the unfortunate cars the game wants you to hunt down and destroy. There are loads of ways of doing this. You can shunt cars into barriers, push them into oncoming traffic, push them into the other rivals, or simply stay on their tails until they get psyched out and crash just to get away from you. That one's for fans of Spielberg's Duel. But again, no mode is simply regurgitated from the past. As you work into later tiers of the competition, you'll find road rage events where only certain takedowns count toward the final tally, so you have to forego those crude shunting takedowns for more delicate assassinations. If you like modes that are slightly less crashy, but still a bit bashy, there's also the return of Pursuit, a cops and robbers number that has you nudging a car's health bar down. It's not my favourite mode. I prefer the game when tiny bumps cause ludicrous pile-ups, but as the difficulty intensifies and it adds multiple cars to pursue at once, you do have to get more surgical with your bumper work. I'm more of a blunt instrument kind of guy. You can, of course, turn your own crashes into a win. Hitting the shoulder bumper when you crash enters slow motion danger time, where you can attempt to steer your smouldering wreckage into oncoming rivals to automatically refill your boost bar when you respawn on the track. It's one of the guiltier pleasures of the game, as you defy the laws of physics to reverse momentum and slide into the paths of unsuspecting vehicles. It's not worth doing if there's no direct competitor to bring down, although you might be tempted to enter danger time just to watch and enjoy the sight of wheels and bonnets bouncing around in bullet time. It's also worth mentioning the car unlock system. Dangerous driving splits events into different car classes, sedans, SUVs, supercars, etc., which compete across the various race types. But within each class you unlock 4 varieties of each car that are suited to different race types. For road rage, for example, you want the enhanced model, which deals more damage. Over in Heatwave, you're looking for tuned, which eats through boost faster and gets the 2 mph gain to top speed for every heatwave. Then there's the prototype, incredibly fast but very fragile, making it perfect for shakedown races. Think 1-lap time trials, but very unwise in the hustle and bustle of races. It's not a massively deep system. You have to unlock each type in a relatively simple head-to-head race, but there is something quite satisfying about scraping a bronze in a heatwave or road rage event and then coming back with a better suited car to absolutely wallop your high score or best time. One challenge I was curious about was how a tiny indie team was going to replicate the soundtrack of a Burnout game. Games that could throw the financial might of EA at the biggest music labels in the world. Threefield's solution is kind of ingenious. They let you supply the soundtrack. Specifically, they've worked with Spotify to integrate it directly into the game. By linking your game to a Spotify premium account, and I did it in just 20 seconds on my home PC, you can use a Spotify playlist as your in-car radio. You can pause and cycle through your track list with a controller D-pad, and it all works very smoothly. Ironically, I can't actually demonstrate it for you because I can't use copyrighted music in this video. Also, the only playlist I have is the best hits of Randy Newman, and that guy is just not made for Burnout. Threefields have made their own playlist you could add, the official, unofficial licensed soundtrack if you will, but everyone has their own idea of what music gets them in the zone. Just don't use Randy Newman. Ever tried ramming someone off the road to You've Got a Friend in Me?
You just remember what your old past said, or you got a friend in me.
It just doesn't work. I'll be honest, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Dangerous Driving, or rather how much I had missed the era of racing games that it taps into. It's not interested in simulation or accuracy, although the physics model for the cars is more sophisticated than it ever was in their Criterion days. It still captures the feel of those earlier machines, of being very tight and connected to the road, but capable of graceful power slides and desperate last-minute swerves. It has that great sense of sound, of horns and engines ripping past and distorting as you boost towards the horizon, and of course the ludicrous sound of the boost itself, captured here from jet engines, naturally. It's very old-fashioned in its outlook, the bronze, silver, gold medals for performance, the slow drip feed of events and unlocks, the way just a handful of tracks, 7 in total, are cleverly reworked into long courses, short courses, marathon runs, and shorter chunks of track that stitch together into point-to-point races. You can see how it has to be economical with its resources in a way that the bloated AAA behemoths don't have to be, but it does get excellent miles to the gallon. I mean, stop your car mid-race and it won't win any beauty contests, but it's not a game about going slow. When it rips past at 60 frames, potentially more with uncapped PC options, it has a beautiful sense of speed that few recent racers can match. I need to dig into the final PC version to see if it can sustain interest and how well it'll deliver on the multiplayer modes due to be added in the first month after launch. But for the afternoon I've spent with it, I was whisked back to a simpler, faster time, and it was fun. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tour of Dangerous Driving. If you have any questions about the game, do let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. As I mentioned, this is Xbox One X capture and we hope to get some PC footage on the channel soon and talk through what it offers. If you enjoyed this video, why not check out some of our other videos along similar lines, like my little love letter to Forza Horizon 4 or some Sekiro thoughts. Okay, Sekiro has nothing to do with cars, but it does have violent takedowns. Nah, who am I kidding? Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye for now.